Next item is recommendation to appoint a construction management firm. As we get into now the next phase of processing the master facility priority one, there will be bid specifications and timelines to be established. We're recommending that we appoint Gilbane and Company as the construction management firm to allow for a timely transition from the planning stages to the bidding stages to the implementation phase. We appointed Gilbane in October of 2010 to the cost estimate services for District 86. We believe that has been done in a timely fashion, revising documents, being detail-oriented and very responsive. We believe that this will allow a transition to the construction phase in a seamless fashion.
Okay, we need a motion to appoint Gilbane and Company as District 86 construction management firm. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion by Mr. Kuhn, second by Mrs. Gallo. Any questions or comments?
Now,
Yes.
Gilbane is a construction company, right?
Construction management company.
Just management, they don't do construction?
No, they do the management. It's equivalent to jobs that we've done before Dr. Skoda, where we've had a general contractor. General contractors generally will charge about approximately 10% of the total cost of any given project. Construction managers, by their definition, entitled to manage the project. Their general rate is 7.5% to 8.5% of the project. We're recommending construction management process rather than general contractor, in that there's going to be articulated timelines, schedules, and bid packages that really will take coordination in order for us to get these projects done in a timely fashion with the construction months of summer. They do not construct buildings, they are the management firm.
A couple months ago, I asked the administration and Mr. Brennan to look at a request for proposal for all consultants. At the last meeting I asked, that was the last thing I asked for, to go through the process of identifying things that we need to go out to bid for consultants. It's very disturbing to me this evening that we have someone who's appointed when we didn't even go through the request for proposals for this individual.
Well,
What happened with that part of the conversation a couple months ago?
my recollection is we're preparing that for January.
Well, I mean, we're hiring, looks like you got bond counsel, or you got a financial service here that's been hired already. We have Chapman and Cutler who's already writing, does that mean they're hired? We have.
Those professional services, we're not required to take out the bid.
Well, they could. You could go out to bid for a bond counsel.
You can do an RF, yes, and we discussed that with the board when we introduced this process. I even stated that, and this board was comfortable with George K. Baum presenting.
Oh.
I did mention that in
Well,
my
he's
first
been-
report.
Okay, but if he's presenting, does that mean he has to be the person to do it? I mean, why can't we go out to the market and get the best prices from bond counsel to, like before we used the Hennessy Company? For instance, you're appointing a gentleman here tonight to be the project manager, Mr. Kuhn.
I asked him what was the Hennessy Company.
The Hennessy? Okay.
William Blair.
It's they were sold the bonds.
It's called William.
William Blair.
Okay, who's Hennessy?
Elizabeth Hennessy is represented.
She was a representative, okay. In other words, I would like this board to engage on a competitive process these individuals who are working for us. I did not recall that Mr., I'm sorry, what's your name from Gilbane?
Douglas?
Douglas, okay. I don't recall, I mean, you work for free, correct?
We engaged an RFQ.
Well, you work for free for the process of doing the preliminary.
The last year he's worked for free.
We did the RFQ for conceptual cost analysis of the master facility plan. We took that out for an RFQ, request for qualifications.
Yes.
Gilbane was one of the companies that responded.
And they did it for free when there was 5 or 6 other companies who were gonna be 10 or 15,000. So,
Correct.
so I guess my question for Douglas out there is, were you told at some point that you would get this appointment?
Absolutely not.
You were never told?
And I did review with the board, with George K. Baum, that we could take that out for an RFQ, and I didn't hear any interest in that. And we did discuss,
You were actually told not to.
I believe I was told to keep moving forward with this.
Yes.
But Nick, the RFQ, we had 7 firms, or 8 firms respond. One said they would do it for 20,000. One said for 14.5 thousand. One for 17.5 thousand. One said 42,000. One said 15 to 20. One said 18.240 thousand, and one said 25,000. And Gilbane said 0.
That's
Now, if
correct.
you were having your house done, wouldn't red flags go up? What kind of business says, I'll do your work for free? You know, because obviously the Gilbane firm cannot make money by doing things for free unless they think by a free proposal, we have our foot in our door for something juicier later.
So you amaze me. You're complaining that Gilbane did something for free that could have cost us $25,000, and you're upset? I
Dennis,
can't believe if I spend money, I get
Dennis, I
beat
hope
up. If
you're-
I save money, I get beat
I
up.
hope you're a capitalist like I am.
What's the other choice? Of course.
You don't make money like that. What? How does that make any sense?
I'm
And
sure,
then, and by the way, would you call this a no-bid contract?
I call it a professional service
These are
contract.
professional services that don't need to be bid.
How
And
is,
when this was discussed in October of 2010, that very question came up, Dr. Skoda, and Doug was representing Gilbane. He answered that question for the board, and the board at that time felt satisfied with that answer and appointed them.
okay, how is he?
That question was answered.
how-
Oh, Mr.
Asked and
Douglas,
answered.
could you, is this something that you normally do for schools? That the first year or year and a half, we do it for free?
I think what he's asking is, have you ever done projects like this for other people? Where you
Absolutely.
quoted out?
For free?
Yep.
Obviously, your firm is a capitalistic firm. So what's the hook?
I call it investment.
What's that?
Investment
Investment in what?
for the future opportunity.
So you know what, and from what I've read from the state statute is the only way that you can go out for a no bid contract is if this gentleman or his firm is proclaimed to be a specialized firm, and based off Dr. Skoda's comments on how many other companies are out there that do this kind of work, you can't really be classified as specialized. And therefore,
This is a
That's not what
special,
the
a
statute
specialized service. It does not need to be bid.
Dennis, since you want the statute, here it is.
is it over $25,000?
Diane, to award all contracts for purposes of supplies, materials, or work or contracts with private carriers for transportation of pupils involving an expenditure in excess of 25,000 or lower amount as required by board policy to the lowest responsible bidder. Considering conformity with specifications, terms of delivery, quality and serviceability, after due advertisement, except the following. This is when you don't have to do it. Contracts for the services of individuals possessing a high degree of professional skill where the ability or fitness of the individual plays an important part. So what we're saying, by the way, it didn't say a firm, it said an individual. So who is the individual that is so key here that he's better than Henry Brothers or whatever? Doesn't need a bid.
James, I see you in the back. Could you stand up? One of our attorneys, if you want to identify yourself, you've heard the conversation. Does this need to be bid out?
My name is James Pechengaro. I'm one of the attorneys for the Board of Education. It does not need to be bid out. Under that very exception that Mr. Skoda just read, construction management services are considered to be services of a particularized, individualized, and unique skill that classifies under that exception. I had a conversation with Dr. Wall earlier today on this very issue. There's case law addressing the specific issue of construction managers for school construction projects.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, I think there's several issues here. first of all, the board hasn't even seen any of the plans submitted. We have no idea what we're hiring him to do. We don't have any idea what, I mean, on a specific
Is there a
percent.
contract?
We have no supporting documentation. Where did he pull these numbers out when he originally came up with 13 million? And then we decided to add in the front entrance improvements to both schools to make it 18 million. Where did you get those numbers from? Did you submit some reports to the administration